City of Rochester regularly scheduled city council meeting. The date is June 9th. City clerk, the roll call, please.
Salvia.
Here.
Vixen.
Here.
Hauser.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
King.
Here.
Sage.
Here.
Trent. Here. And Your Honor, Megan is doing the Zoom this evening, not Brian.
Okay, thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you for joining us here this evening. As we start out the meeting, is there anyone here who would like to make a public comment on something that is not on our agenda this evening? If you could please approach the podium and state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Paula Filer. I live at 133 Biggs. So, good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm here tonight to respond to some comments that were made at the last regular meeting that were in opposition of the updating of the blight ordinance. It's an ordinance that we were told was going to be updated and that residents and myself have been waiting on for over a year. I've gone back and watched the meeting several times for accuracy. At that meeting, a couple of council members spoke after Mr. Hauser gave his update on what was happening with the committee. And one council member stated that the fire chief had said, we don't have a blight ordinance issue, we just have an enforcement issue. And he also questioned whether we could fix this internally without making new law. Another council member stated that our current ordinance works just fine. It just needs to be more efficient in its enforcement. However, the fire chief publicly stated on July, it was 22nd and October 28th city council meetings, that he supports tweaking and clarifying the ordinance. He also emphasized that his role was to enforce, not to write. In fact, he explicitly said that clearer language would assist not only the residents, but also enforcement. Regarding the comment about making new law that was made by one of the council members, I'd like to clarify that amending or clarifying an ordinance does not make or create a new law. It's about removing ambiguity, eliminating loopholes, and making existing laws more functional and enforceable. As a resident who have dealt with the blight issue since moving to Rochester, I found these remarks extremely frustrating. Not just because those comments sent us back a year to when we first discussed this issue, or because of the disregard for all the time and energy that staff members and council members and others have put into working on this improved ordinance, or even because the fact that these council members said there was a problem with enforcement but offered no solutions on how to fix it. So my issues were mainly because two council members interjected strong opposition during a time that was meant to be just given an update. And with those comments, they felt really premature and out of step with what was happening and what residents were told was going to happen. So the impression was that thoughtful decisions were to be made and then voted on regarding this ordinance. But it seemed that these comments were trying to shut it down before we even had due process. It's been 4 years since I made my first formal complaint about the house across the street. And my husband and I have invested a significant amount of time and energy to try to get measurable improvements on the property. We met with city personnel, as you all know, council members, I've spoken at meetings, I've sent emails, I've gathered petitions, provided photographic evidence, and also experienced a severe, great amount of frustration. So it wasn't until just a couple weeks ago, after I sent another email to all council members with photographs, that I finally see some real action. I want to thank Christian Hauser, Marilyn Trent, and Debbie Jones for reaching out to me. I truly appreciate it and sincerely thank you. I was really hoping that I would hear from some others. But, you know, I think that due to the fact that I was watching the meeting and heard from other council members, I now realize that there may not be a consensus on the blight issue. And I do believe it was no coincidence that shortly after I sent that email, it seems as if a citation was finally issued. And not just a citation, it seems that that citation, from what I see so far, has real teeth. It's not just addressing some weeds and some broken windows and paint. It is addressing some long-standing issues that should have been taken care of a long time ago. So truly, truly, I thank you for that. But as I am grateful for that, I need to say this. No resident should have to fight as long and hard as my husband and I have, and other of our neighbors had, to see action on what is obviously a blight issue. So I ask you, is it really an enforcement issue? Is it an ordinance issue? Or maybe it's both. One thing is clear. Residents deserve ordinances that are clear, concise, and enforceable, not vague language that leaves room for inconsistencies. As taxpayers, whether we live in a large home or a small home, whether the home is old or new, we all deserve equity in how these ordinances are administered. We deserve a council that acts, not just when it's convenient or when the resident is doing all the legwork, but proactively, because it is your responsibility. A vague ordinance invites selective enforcement. A clear ordinance protects everyone, residents and the city alike. The residents of the residents of the city are paying attention. We're looking at which council members truly have the community at their best interest and those who don't. So I thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you very much, Paula. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
I have flyers. May I approach the
Sure,
bench?
if you could give them to the city clerk, please. Thank you. It looks like you've got a crew here with
I
you.
have a
What is
small crew.
what is
I
happening
do.
here?
And then Mr. Weber, can I give you Thank you. My name is Danielle Drouillard. I am the Vice President for the Nurses Union at Henry Ford Rochester across the street. We had one of our stewards, Heather McMinn, was here a couple weeks ago speaking pre-strike. And so myself and this is Rachel, Lynette, we've come straight from the picket line. We closed the picket line down at 7 and came straight here, and then we have some more people as well. I just want to talk about what we did today. So we woke up bright and early, 5:30, we packed up, we were on strike in front of the hospital. We were all over the news today. If you turn on the news tonight, you'll probably see my face all over it. We had a lot of coverage today. We were striking in protest of the unfair labor practices by Henry Ford Rochester. Multiple things that, from withholding information, denying us meeting space, to they stopped withdrawing our dues on Friday illegally. So we filed 8 charges against Henry Ford for these and other actions so far, plus the 13 that came over from Ascension. Henry Ford gave us the last best and final offer. We put it to a membership vote as they asked, and 84% of our members, 84% of the voters voted it down. It was resoundingly voted down, and the hospital said, that was our last best and final offer, we have nothing more to give you, don't know what to say. So we took a strike vote, 86% supermajority said yes to a 3-day strike, and we are on strike. After that, the hospital indicated that we are not to come back to work till Saturday, so they locked us out for a total of 5 days. It has been a very emotional day. We do not want to be on the picket line. We care for this community. We care for each other. We care for every single person that walks through those doors in your best times and your worst times. And we do not want to be striking. We do not want to be picketing. This isn't why I became a nurse, to come to city council meetings and beg for help, or to be on the news protesting against a giant wealthy hospital corporation that only wants us to fit into their mold of what their other hospitals do. So I'm here today. We've been out on the picket line all day. Rachel was one of my first preceptors when I was a brand new nurse, and if you cry, I'm gonna cry. I am here today asking for a resolution from the Rochester City Council. The hospital is in the city of Rochester, and I'm asking you, city council members, to sign a letter of resolution. We can help draft it if you'd like, and I'm asking each of you to sign on to it, to tell Henry Ford to stop with the unfair labor practices, to return to the table and bargain in good faith, and get our nurses back to work. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Mr. Weber, for being here tonight, and to hear too, because this is part of your district. And thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for those comments. And for the record, the hospital is in Rochester Hills.
Okay.
It is not in Rochester.
Google says Rochester for the address, so.
There's like a partial parking lot, like maybe a medical center, but the hospital itself is in Rochester Hills.
Okay.
Yeah.
My ask still stands. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there any other public comment tonight for anything not on the agenda?
Good evening, Council.
Good
Ann
evening.
Peterson, 233 North Alice. Well, I just returned from Washington DC from our National Association of Realtors legislative meetings. And just a couple things I wanted to just bring up that we've been working on that will actually hopefully help tremendously. But I'm not sure if you're aware of how the capital gains works with the exemption. Single people have a $250,000 exemption. Married couples have $500,000. Those are very antiquated, been since like way back in the 90s. So prices have changed a lot, but we're working on changing that right now to get those higher to where it would be $500,000 for single and $1 million for couples, which would allow many people to be able to move out of their homes and not get taxed on the capital gains. So it would be a huge win, hoping that it passes. It's inside the bills right now at Congress. And then the other thing that they are working on, sorry, I think my throat is just a little dry in here. Also, one thing they're working on that's really awesome for homeowners and anyone who's applying for a loan, they're working to prohibit the trigger leads from taking place. That is when,
terrible.
I know, it's horrible. I cannot believe how much money has been made off of people when they buy and sell those who have applied for credit. So that's being worked on to be banned and won't be allowed anymore unless you are a part of the transaction. So those are two really good things I wanted to bring about because capital gains will be huge, especially in our area where the prices have elevated so high that it makes it hard for people who have been in their home a long time, who have gained all that extra equity from not being taxed, especially the older homeowners. That's the huge one. We can't have older people can't leave their homes right now because if they are widowed, they are considered single. So actually they get taxed a lot more. And they don't really talk about that piece. So hopefully this will actually help them as well because their generational wealth was why they stayed in their home to collect all that extra equity. So hopefully these things pass and everything turns out good. But right now those are what we're looking at right now that are most important at the federal level to take place everywhere. So no one can change those. Besides local zoning that we would like to control a little more. So thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Appreciate your comments. Any other public comments tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to our first agenda item, which is a legislative update from Senator Michael Weber. Good to see you again. It was nice to see you with us on Memorial Day as well. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for the invite on Memorial Day, and it was great to be part of the ceremony and the parade and some of the the new stuff that we're doing, which was great. So honoring the veterans that were there. So Michael Weber serves as State Senator for District 9, which includes the greater Rochester area, Troy, Sterling Heights, Shelby Township, and Utica. Back for a spring legislative update. I'm hoping to be back in the fall here with more information as it relates to when our budget gets done and all that kind of stuff. But we'll just kind of dive right into it because I know you have a busy agenda. We are, the Senate has passed the budget so far. The House has not. So obviously we're working with everybody to try to get a budget done by the end of September. But in the Senate version, it does include a 10% increase in statutory revenue sharing. And we're using the same formula that was used last session on that. It also recommends a constitutional revenue sharing, a 2.3% increase in that. A couple other items as it relates to revenue sharing. We are continuing our mission on the revenue sharing trust fund legislation. It did get introduced in the House, and myself and Senator Cherry and Senator Moss are working on it in the Senate. In addition, the House has passed the Public Safety and Violence Prevention Trust Fund legislation. And so that is, has not acted yet in the Senate, but I think all of this will be part of the overall budget discussion that we're gonna have here in the next few months, especially as it relates to also the potential road funding plan. So I'll kind of get into that, and then I'll talk a little bit more about some of the local stuff. But the House did pass a $3.1 billion long-term road funding plan, directs existing tax revenue towards roads, ensures all taxes collected at the pump go towards roads. And to give you an idea on the local road funding, it kind of bypasses some of the Act 51 formula to try to get more money directly into city coffers and in county coffers. So City of Rochester under this plan would directly receive a 149% increase in funds, or $2.2 million in new revenue. And Oakland County as a county, 109% increase, or $141 million in new revenue. So obviously, as we work, as the Senate, the Governor, House work on this, I think everybody has kind of come to some sort of terms on $3 billion. It's a question of if it's a mixture of new and existing revenue, and then ultimately the funding formula in terms of how this money gets to our locals for their purposes. In terms of local budget priorities, I know we've been working with Nick and the team on, as it relates to the Clinton River Trail, the washout improvements. So we've talked a little bit about that. As you know, these funds will help with the design and remediate the washed out sections of the trail and restore trail surfaces. So we're hoping to get that as part of this budget discussion. And then obviously from last year's budget, now official on the $2 million for Rochester Community House, and thank you to all that helped kind of get that across the finish line, everybody up there. So in terms of some legislation, I'll give you one thing that I've been working on, because again, I know you have a busy schedule, but we are still working on a funding mechanism for sound walls, and I know that doesn't affect Rochester quite as much, but the surrounding areas in the district, sound wall funding has been a big issue during my first term in the Senate. We were able to get some money for Troy, and then we looked at it and said, well, this is not sustainable to have a legislator kind of try to get money in the budget specifically for like a sound wall every time. So we looked at what some of these other states do. There's one other state that set up a funding mechanism within their MDOT budget, and so this is the funding mechanism, and then obviously you'd have to fund it within the budget process. And so, but how we see that working is kind of more of like a grant type of program. Either the county or the city would try to show what the need was, and it's money that, a lot of times these sound walls are built with federal money at the beginning of the project, because there's gonna be lane, an extra lane added on 75 or something like that. In this case, obviously, this would be kind of after the fact, but seeing that there's still a need for some sound mitigation. Obviously, one of the biggest things we worked on to date in the legislature in 2025, and obviously with a lot of the help of restaurants and hospitality in our area here in downtown Rochester, was the tip credit and the earned sick leave. We had several restaurant workers, small business owners voice their concerns about what was going to take effect on February 21st. We were able to come up with a bipartisan compromise that weighed the concerns of both employees and employers while keeping jobs in Michigan, helping small businesses keep their doors open. So the governor signed that in late February, and that, while not a perfect plan, certainly helped keep some doors open. And then lastly, as co-chair of our Michigan Aerospace and Defense Caucus, we were happy to report the Selfridge, the squadron coming to Selfridge, and that really is a boost, as we did not really see that coming. So obviously, the president, governor, congressional delegation, our 50-member caucus had a very small part to do with that, but we appreciated the opportunity to do that. And then lastly, for residents watching online who need help with state government, please feel free to call or email the office at 517-373-0994, or can email the office at senweber@senate.michigan.gov. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. Any other questions from council?
I just have a couple. I don't know if we discussed this or not, but wasn't the state passing funds or approving funds for road construction to help cities with road construction or fixing the roads? I forget what the name of the bill was.
In terms of,
Revenue sharing with that? or-
It's the
Yeah.
local road bill that he
Yeah.
just talked
There
about.
was-
It would be 2.2 million for
okay.
Rochester.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there was, you may have referenced a bill that was last session that would have gotten some additional dollars, not 2.2 million,
okay. Okay.
but
That
some
was-
money,
okay,
yes.
well,
yeah,
good. And
yeah.
the second one is, there was a hazardous waste legislation that's starting to wind its way in front of you guys it's a Senate Bill 247 and Senate Bill 246 to increase the tipping fees for
Okay.
waste and solid waste.
Yeah, I believe that got a hearing recently.
Yeah, so I've been kind of keeping an eye on that. It's just might be contacting you about that.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else from council? Thank you. Thank
All
you
right.
for being
Thank
here,
you.
Senator.
Thank you.
The
Have a
rest of
great
our
meeting.
agenda is
Okay.
pretty much about road spending, since we just passed our budget, so your comments are very timely.
Very good, very good.
We
Thank
need
you.
more money for it, too, so thank you.
2 million sounds nice.
Yeah, we'll take that one.
That's why I asked. Was there more?
Yeah,
I thought
we
maybe,
need
you know,
more.
under
You're
a few-
right.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So moving on to the consent agenda. So we've got two sets of meeting minutes. We've got May 12th, May 27th. We've got the Hometown Hustle 5K and 1 mile color run. We have consideration to approve Pride in the Park event, and we have consideration to approve St. John Church and School mobile pantry, food pantry event, as well as receipt of our check register. Council, do we have any motions on the consent agenda? Councilmember Trent?
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda as represented here, and that would be A, B, C, and D.
So you're pulling E, or you want to approve all of them?
I'll approve
A
all
through
of it,
E?
yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. We have a motion by Trent,
Support.
support by Sage. Any other discussion? Clerk, the roll call, please.
Salvia.
Yes.
Vixen.
Yes.
Hauser.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Sage.
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Thank you. We have no old business, no public hearings, no legislative deliberation. Moving on to reports and regular business. As we move into this section of the agenda, we do have a participant who will be zooming in for item H. And they have a pretty narrow time window between 8 and 9. So if everyone could kind of help me keep the clock, and if we're not to that item by then, we're going to move it forward. Is that okay with council? Okay,
Yes.
all right, so we'll start with item A, which is consideration to accept funding from Oakland County. This is for the 2025 Local Road Improvement Program. The sum is $29,532, and to spend $29,532 to pave Romeo roads. And so I think the contractor, the bid that is in there is for Ms. Mrizwa.
Yes, that is correct. Formerly Bowen. So,
Yep.
Good evening, council. Jason Warner. So yes, it's to pave Romeo Road between Sycamore and Letica, mill and fill, and the contractor held their pricing from last year. As you stated, Mayor, our funding from the county is the $29,000, and the $42,542 is coming from the major roads budget. So we're seeking approval to approve the spending of the $42,000 and to proceed with the agreement with the county for the local road improvements.
Thank you. Councilmember Jones?
I'm just curious, I did read through all of it, so maybe it was in there and I missed it, but, and you might not even have the answer to this. How did they make that decision? Like, I looked at the little chart they had with all the cities and how much population and how much road, and, I mean, why all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but why 29,000? Why Rochester? Do you know any?
I don't.
Okay.
can
I mean,
find
it's a
out for you,
gift.
though. I can
It's
ask.
certainly a
Yeah.
gift, but I'm just thinking, is there ways to get more? I mean, it sounds like the commissioners approved it.
Jason, if you don't mind, Jason.
Yes, sure, come on. Because it looks like the Board of Commissioners are the ones who made that decision. I just wondered
A
what
formula.
went into it.
So we've been getting this annually for like the last 5 to 6 years, and there's a criteria that has to meet, there has to be an inlet and an outlet to the road. It impacts the entire community, commercial vehicles, things like that. So it's pretty easy to get the money. It's not a high level of.
Is it applied for?
And so
or-
Jason,
It
from
is.
your understanding, have they changed the formula in any recent times? It's been pretty consistent?
Consistent, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we applied for it, and we tell them what road it is, the length, how it's used in the community, and then give them the location, and then they approve it. It's been a hands-down approval for us for many years.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Okay.
And so the requested action is to accept Ms. Rupp paving to perform this work and approve receiving funding from Oakland County for the amount of $29,532 and to spend $42,542 of city funding.
I'll make a motion to do that.
Mayor Pro Tem Vixen, motion,
Support?
support by Hauser. Any other discussion? City Clerk, the roll call, please.
Salvia,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes. Thank you, motion passed. So moving on to item B, is Jason staying here? Nope, now we get Nick, okay. Item B is more 2025 local and major road improvements. This is part of our ongoing citywide road improvement program. We've had a couple asset management meetings and discussions on these, and so this is part of our normal process where we approve our budget, asset management makes, kind of reviews administration's recommendations, and now they're here before council to make some final decisions. So,
Yes.
Nick?
Exactly, we made it, so it was a long road, no pun intended there.
that was intended, come on.
But no, it was fun, and thank you, that's at my committee meeting. They were great, they were super. It's one of the first times I've ever got to do those, so it's kind of eye-opening to me, and it's very, very productive, so thank you for those. So yes, this is a citywide ongoing road project that we're looking to get approved this evening. And it's gonna be 2 contractors, one L. Anthony Contracting, and the second will be paving. So we have 3 road budget projects we'll be working out of, one being the DDA, one being major roads, and one being local roads. So the DDA roads we are going to be targeting this year is going to be Walnut, from 1st to 4th, 3rd Street, from Pine to Walnut, 2nd Street, Pine to Main, and then also Pine Street from Second to Fourth. That total road project just for DDA will be $336,000, and that will just be mill and fill for those roads. That's strictly DDA. The second one will be major roads, and that is gonna be First Street from Walnut to Castell.
That's Dinosaur Hill.
That's dinosaur.
That's the path.
Went way too.
Yeah, that's okay. I just recognize that.
It would be page 72 of the packet. 72.
I don't think it's 72.
Let's see.
On my packet.
67?
The scale.
I think it's 67.
Oh, you know what? I added
There it
pages to
is.
mine. I'm
It's
sorry,
right there.
guys.
It's right there.
Overachiever,
I
you
did,
needed more
yes.
pages.
Go back.
It was page
Handwritten type
67.
font.
The only person that did add
Down.
pages was you.
Oh, it
I
didn't
think
get
it's down 2
attached.
pages,
Just saying.
right here.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, here you go.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
There you go.
So yeah,
It's 67 in mine.
so that's kind of the,
You didn't add pages.
that's the overview
Mine
of
too.
all the road projects we'll be doing this year if approved. So you see how it's broken down, so DDA 336,000, major roads, Walnut to Castell. There will be a second portion of First Street from Walnut to Castell. There will be a second portion from Castell to Helen. That falls under local road, changes jurisdiction.
It's a mill.
And then
Phil, it's all
local
mill.
roads also will be targeting Stony Point subdivision. We split that up into two sections, that's east and west. And those target streets that we're gonna be going for is Pebble Ridge, Pebble Point Drive, Creek View, Ridgeway, and Creek Point Drive. Now, those roads over there, those will be a mill and fill and a curb and gutter replacement over there. So the total contract, just for the paving portion for Hutch Paving, is $979,000. The total contract to L. Anthony Contracting, which that is the curb and gutter contractor, is $668,000. So what we're gonna explain a little bit is the reason you're gonna see that the paving contracting being so high is that we took a 3-year budget outlook and we pulled it all the way forward to year 1. Reason being is we have both contractors willing to hold their price this year. So that's why you see that dollar. So this 3-year outlook will be spent this budget year 2026. So essentially, years 2 and 3, unless we bring something forward with other funding, we will not be doing any local roads. We'll be doing everything this year, this current budget. And that's what Anthony's pulling up now.
Which I will love to get some of that $2 million a year from.
Right.
Yeah, 2.2 million.
2, yeah.
2.2.
Oh, man, that'll be fantastic is what that will be. So as Nick was explaining on the roads, now this will look a little busy, so welcome to spreadsheet world, but I just want to give a bit of an overview, as Nick was saying, about the multi-years and how this was looking. So when we look at the budget, we always aim at where are we heading at the end of the 3rd year. And so what came up during the discussions that kind of prefaced this is like, okay, well, here, everything presented tonight, this is the work we want to do over the next few years. So we have a few things. One, the end of the 3rd year, it doesn't change, right? Whether you do the work in year 1, year 2, year 3, it's the same bucket of money when we're looking at the end of the 3rd year. When we looked at the amount of work, it wasn't too much work to where we'd be gridlocking the entire community down, to where, you know, it would just be absolutely ripped up and just craziness everywhere. So it was tolerable to be able to do this work. And then another piece is the holding of the pricing. We know every year it gets more expensive, right? Prices don't go down. I wish they would, that'd be awesome, but they don't. So we said, okay, well, if these are the roads we can do, then why wait, why do them in a couple years? Let's do them in the next year. We can do the work, we can manage the work, and it'll be as cheap as it's going to be over the next few years. The last kind of other discussion point is, I'm gonna jump down here to 27, This is when MDOT is still planning on doing the North Main Street project. So both water department, roads, they're like, do not do any work in this year, please. Because as an example, when we did downtown, when the big Main Street reconstruction was done, there is it's an all hands thing. Corey and the water department, lines, shut-offs, leaks, it is constant. So we can't and shouldn't be doing, unless it's an emergency, any of that work in that year when MDOT's gonna be coming through. So when we put all those pieces together, we said, you know what, let's grab the cheaper pricing now. Let's propose, since it's the same amount of work, let's just do it in the first year. And then, these are the numbers that correspond to what you see in the different parts of the packet. Just on the bucket side, these columns are the different funds. So we have major streets, local streets, parking isn't part of, that'll be a different discussion. Then we have DDA, and then water sewer. So by doing this and even looking at the end of the third year, we're still at $1 million in fund balance left in major and local streets, which is right at our target amount. You know, the good news, as Senator Weber was talking about, really all versions have some amount of increase to locals. The hot topic has been getting money from major to local in the discussions. In everything that's, I should say, have been in committee or publicly stated, they want to get more local. It was we fixed the highways and the freeways, and now we need to do the driveways and they had some like coin term or something for it. Like we got to get down to the local side so people can see it on their streets. So we're happy for 2.2. We're happy for anything, wherever the formula, as he said, wherever it settles will be great. And then that's gonna be able to get us a plan probably for 28, because we're gonna try to still avoid anything in 27 that's gonna have, just with the detour when Main Street is torn up. So, for the funding, that just shows you where we're kinda ending now, as we're talking about that ending third year, where we are in each of the funds. And then, to be able to support getting the lower pricing and the work done in, this year. So just to add some context to that.
Councilmember King, did you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't have that map, and so I just wanted to better understand the Stony Point West and East. And because I think before, I want to make sure this is the same project I'm understanding, I think before the approach had been, we're gonna go in, we're gonna fix some of these curbs that are needing to be fixed, but it was gonna be like in pieces versus doing the whole project.
This is the quality work. This is
Unrelated, or is that the
same
same
project,
project?
but better approach.
But now we're going in, we're milling, filling, we're replacing all of the curbs, is that,
Correct, yeah.
okay.
We looked at that project in a whole, and what is this project gonna look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 30 years from now, you know? Once we do these roads, we can't get back to the curbs. So our goal is to get in there, do it, be done, and move on, and know we're good for the next plus years.
How many?
Councilmember Trent?
How many plus years?
We're hoping at least 30 before we come back to these streets.
30? Okay, all right, that makes sense.
And these streets, we don't have the water mains under the road, because this is the newer sub. So that's why a mill and fill approach on this side of town makes more sense, and on the west side of town, that's where we do our complete streets.
Yeah, I see, with the water mains. Water mains are, what, behind the homes? Where is it?
In the right of way.
Yeah, they're out.
They're in the right of way? Okay.
Any other questions? Councilmember Jones?
Just so I understand, so you're taking funding that was for the next 2 years, and we're pulling it forward and doing it all this year?
Correct, because what we've been doing is we've been approving like a multi-year road plan. And then, once that was approved, like here's what we want to do in year 1, year 2, year 3, we've then gone and executed the plan. Well, last year we finished the third year. So it was time to, okay, what's the next 3-year plan gonna be? As we transitioned in with, Nick coming in and Jason, it was like, okay, let's get the plan going again. And then that's where we went to asset committee meeting. And when we laid it out, which was what you see here, that is the next plan.
And the funding is available then?
Correct.
To be
It's
able to
fund
use
balance.
this?
It's fund balance.
We're taking out of the fund balance?
Yeah,
Okay.
right now on major and local streets, we're projecting to have at the end of the month here, almost, what is that, 3.7 million? And that's, in our fund balance policy is 1,050,000.
So it was sitting there, and it
Yeah,
would have
it's
sat
for-
there?
for
You
the
just
roads.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other question.
Exactly, yeah, it's
That-
for the plan.
Right. That makes sense.
General
And-
fund.
Not
yeah,
general
no,
fund,
not
it's
general
not general
fund.
fund.
Yeah, not
That part I do get. So are some of the roads, or what we're using this for, could have gone 2 more years? Are we fixing them early? That might be a dumb question, but if they were already planned for 2 years from now and we're pulling them forward, are they in the need right now? Because I know we're trying to save money because of price. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. It's a good question, yeah, they're in the need. So it was our goal and pretty much a benefit to be able to do it now, knowing in the next 3 years, this is where we'll be going anyway.
Okay.
They'll use the same contractor, same pricing, so.
I get the part about the pricing, for sure.
And we always have a concern too, I mean, if we get some really bad weather, I mean, we don't want the roads to get to a Paisley rating to where we can't mill and fill anymore either.
So being
Because if they
preventative
break
a little.
apart too much, you can't mill and fill, you're mill and filling rubble, basically. So you're gonna end up with, you're gonna mill and fill it. If you remember what happened on Livernois 10 years ago, they spent all that money milling and filling it. The next year, it was completely broken up again. It's because that needed to be a full redo.
So it's
similar,
proactive.
similar things. We want to make sure we're taking care of it before it gets worse and to a point to where it's like, you can mill and fill it, but it's just going to start breaking immediately.
Well, I think it's wonderful that I think one of these mill and fill might have been, it was the 2023 pricing, I think, and they're keeping it.
Yeah, they're keeping
So
it.
that's 2 years later, so that's great to be able to take advantage of it. The other, I think, was last year's pricing, but,
And we confirmed too with the engineering, because, they're opening bids for other communities in that too. So the pricing is advantageous to the city versus what they're seeing in, if we said, oh, just go out and, don't do the whole pricing, go have it rebid again, it's not, it's gonna be higher.
it would be, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Trent?
Yes, so do you have an approximate amount of money that we're saving, or the city's saving? Do you have a ballpark, or it just, it's gonna go up? And-
Yes, they had seen higher increases than what we have. I didn't ask them to quantify it, and, because it's really, labor's a piece, but it's also materials. I mean, it's,
Okay.
it's.
I just,
yeah.
I didn't want to put you
conditions.
on the spot, I just thought you might have
I'll keep
had-
that in mind when we have the discussions next time to see if, like, okay, what are you seeing for per ton and per cubic feet or yards or whatever they measure? I think it's
Yeah.
cubic yards, on the material. We can do
So
some, like,
materials and labor, they would probably
basic
have like,
estimates
probably a
on that one.
percentage, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, I think it's a great idea to do it this way. Think, looking at something, being more efficient, yeah.
Councilmember Hauser?
Sure, just a couple quick questions. Gentlemen, thank you very much for the work. I know you explained a lot of this to me at the meeting last week when we were all together, but I just want to make sure I understand, and so maybe our colleagues can hear this as well. We're going to spend all the money, when I say all the money, we're going to spend the money this year on this project. Nothing is going to happen next year in '26, is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that being said, let's just play hypothetical for just a moment. Let's say there's a sinkhole on Taylor, for instance. It just happens out of the blue. Do we have the money, do we have the resources to fix that? I just want to make sure that we're not spreading ourselves too thin.
Good question.
Correct, yes.
And where would that money come from?
That is the largest part of that fund balance. Why the minimum is
Yep.
at $1 million is exactly for that reason. It's the contingency on something coming up that we were not prepared for. Not prepared's not the right word. Unforeseen, giant sinkhole. We gotta repair this immediately. Weren't planning on it. It's in year 2, do the Black Swan event thing. That's where that money, that's what it's for in the policy.
Okay, thanks for saying that again for me. Thank you. That's all I've got.
Absolutely. And then this is then looking for 27, since mentioned for next year. So we have, like we said, we have the North Main Street project, so it's mainly going to be water and sewer. We still have the funding for DDA projects and then parking lots. So that's going to be the bulk of what you're going to see in then that next year.
Great.
Yeah, for me, this makes sense, especially with 2027, needing to be all hands on Main Street.
Right.
So, makes sense. Council, do we have any other questions, a motion? Councilmember
I have
King?
one more question. Given the shift in timing, can you go back to your spreadsheet real quick? Is this, if you go up, please, is that showing, so is this showing then in fiscal year '26, that's the new fund balance because we've spent everything in '25? Is this adjusted?
Correct. So now for major and local streets with this going through, you're at 2,045,000, so 2,050,000.
Okay, so we're still above our fund balance
Oh, yes.
minimum.
Yep.
I just know we contribute to these, so I didn't know if the timing of it wouldn't put us below for a year or two until we contribute more over time. But it looks like we do okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Council?
I'll make a motion.
Councilmember Hauser?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the contract with Hutch Paving in the amount of $979,000 for mill and fill program. Also to approve the contract with L. Anthony in the amount of $668,000 for curb and gutter program.
Okay, motion by Hauser, support by Jones. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to make a quick comment. I'm one of the members of the Asset Committee. I want to thank the Asset Committee. I think we did a good job. Thank you to the staff. I think we've done a really good job of using mill and fill. It's not perfect, but it's really done a great job of stretching our resources. So I really support that. And also I want to, people to know that there's a big chunk of money going to the east side. And, we are resourcing and providing all parts of our city that need our help. So I just wanted to know that all parts of the city are being looked at and invested in. So thank you.
Councilmember Trent?
Not sure when I'm supposed to say this, but I have to recuse myself again from this vote.
Okay.
You guys keep choosing a specific.
I will make a motion to
Vendor.
recuse Councilperson Trent from this vote.
Support by Vixen. City Clerk?
This is on her abstaining. Salvia,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Motion passes.
That's to abstain. and
To
now we
abstain.
need- And then we need.
So now we have a motion by Hauser, support by Mayor Pro Tem. Any other discussion? Councilmember Jones?
No, I just was the support
She
of
was
that.
support, I was a comment.
Oh, you were a comment. Thank you. I'm sure you got it right.
I'm sure she got it
Thank you. Thank you. City Clerk, the roll call, please.
Salvia,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Hauser.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
and Trent.
Abstain.
Very good.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you.
I have some construction this,
Yes.
and what's the timing? I don't think you spoke to the timing.
So we're gonna hit this, this year, so starting after July 1, we're gonna sit down with both contractors, have a pre-con and kind of get into their schedule and kind of see where it fits and get it done before winter sets in, so.
Great. Thank you.
Winter time.
Winter. All right, next item. We have item C, which is consideration to approve a one-year contract. This is with CEC Controls to monitor the city's water and sewer systems.
Yes, again.
Nick again, great, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. So yes, this is a one-year contract we're looking to award to CEC for our SCADA system. So it's pretty much essentially for us to be able to remote into the water treatment plant, the water tower, and our lift stations for our water sewer. So this is pretty much, us being able to get in and get to talk to it no matter where we're at, what we're doing. So
Okay, I remember that.
we've had multiple years now, you can kind of see in the memo to where we've struggled for support, being able to get into the system, fix the system, and address the system. So Jason and myself, we've talked to multiple vendors and really kind of dug into this one. Luckily, we got invited to a lunch and learn, and CEC happened to be hosting it, so it was perfect. Multiple communities having the same issue that we're having. So CEC is kind of checking all the boxes we're looking for. Like I said, we sat down with multiple vendors. They're able to essentially take this car and start driving it. We don't have to rebuild it. So that's the very nice thing about CEC, which we're looking forward to. So we're looking to do a one-year trial with them, kind of see if everything works out that we think it's going to work out with them, and hopefully be able to move forward with them. So tonight, we're looking for approval for a one-year contract in the amount of $5,520. That's their annual cost. There will be additional cost hourly rates if they have to, come on site, phone calls, that sort of thing. But that will be our fixed cost. So that's what we're looking for this evening, and see if we can get a good partnership with CEC.
And so currently, we've been spending about 6,000 a year
Yeah,
on this.
we're
So
just
this would
after.
be potentially slightly less than what we've been spending,
Less than we've been spending and more support
more control.
and a better outcome than what we're getting.
Okay. City Council? Councilmember Trent?
I don't have any questions. I remember you bringing this up before. And I think it's a good idea, and I make a motion to approve a one-year contract with CEC Controls to monitor the city's water and sewer systems for the cost of, is it $5,025?
Yeah,
Okay.
$5,520.
$520, okay.
Thank you. Motion by Trent, support by Sage. Any other questions, discussion? City Clerk, the roll call.
Salvia,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Hauser.
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Moving on to item D. Now we're going to talk about Dinosaur Hill. Consideration of a request to approve trail improvements at Nature Preserve Dinosaur Hill.
Yes. So again, yeah, this is a great thing because this is donated money by Dinosaur Hill. So this is why we kind of want to put it on the agenda and kind of bring it forward for one, just to give them the recognition of doing something like this, which is huge, huge, huge. So, and this is going to connect the Paint Creek Trail all the way through Maple Grove to the municipal park. So this is going to be just a really, really neat path and go by the mini forest. So this is really going to tie everything together. So again, this is dollars from them. Councilman Trent, you can probably speak more to where those dollars come from.
I have my prepared statement. So.
I'll give you the floor.
And yay. Happy dance.
So thank you for putting the map up there. I think that's really important to see the visual. I know Colin has been wanting to see these paths. This will really activate this space where we've been, doing both the maple forest and the microforest. We love our forests. By the way, I was just in Iceland, and there are no trees in Iceland. Every tree in Iceland, they have had to import. So, okay, back to the trails.
Back to the trees.
Can I ask a question first?
Sure.
So is this, when we, the next thing is the bridge, does this take into account the detour?
The bypass, yeah.
Okay, is it gonna be easy to ride on? Okay, thank you.
Yep, so it is definitely part of the long-term trail plan with the bridge. Yep, as well as it activates this area. I think Councilmember Jones calls it she likes to call us Recreation Alley.
Recreation Alley,
So
yes.
she's just putting it out there.
Oh, too.
Councilmember Trent, would you like to comment on the resources coming from Dinosaur Hill?
I will.
I just want to make one quick question, just to clarify. Is it also, because I had one of the pictures, my color printer's not working, so, where we already have gravel that's been put down, and this will be on top of that?
Correct. Yep.
Because I found that hard to walk on, is that why you're making that change?
Yep.
Okay, awesome,
So,
I'm happy for
Good
that.
question. So part of this project will be in Dinosaur Hill, readdressing cap and that, and then the asphalt path will transition after you leave.
And to a new area,
Yeah.
so some of it will be redoing that, okay, thank you for doing that, because I find that difficult to walk on, so, thanks.
Yeah.
Councilmember Trent?
Yeah, just to reconfirm, it is a thin layer of limestone crushed, more crushed or smaller grains of, or whatever you call it, bits of limestone is going to be put over what you've got now, right, that people have said, have had comments on. Just like Councilmember Jones. So yes, and then it's going to be asphalt that as you've seen here, that's going to go around the mini forest, community garden, and then, Sugar Maple Grove, that will be more of a connector to the municipal park. So so this has been a long time coming. So this is my statement. Alice G. Horder was a longtime resident of Rochester, Michigan, who, when she passed away, left a bequest to Rochester Community Schools Foundation, earmarked explicitly for Rochester High School. She left funds also for Rochester Hills Public Library, and she left to Dinosaur Hill Nature Preserve funds for the nature trail and to expand the children's library, which is very important because these are strictly designated funds, so Dinosaur Hill could not spend the money on anything else, because I had someone say, whoa, where did they get $150,000? Well, it was a bequest from this wonderful woman. But her gift also established what is now known as the Alice G. Horder Scholarship, awarded to graduating seniors at Rochester High who demonstrate school spirit, perseverance, and strong character. And we want to also extend a sincere thanks to the Board of Directors of Dinosaur Hill for their thoughtful approval of these funds to extend the nature trail around the community garden, community forest, and through the sugar maple grove, a vital step toward connecting the preserve to the municipal park. This trail expansion not only honors Alice's vision, but also enhances accessibility, sustainability, and community connection. And Ms. Horder's legacy lives on in every child who discovers a love of learning in our library and Rochester High School, and every visitor who walks these trails she helped preserve. Her support reflects a profound belief in the power of nature and learning, and we are honored to carry her vision forward. And together, these acts of generosity and stewardship are helping to grow something truly special, linking people, plants, and place for generations to come. And of course, there's going to have to be a ribbon cutting, a plaque to honor her and Dinosaur Hill Nature Preserve. I don't know a lot about her, but I do know she quietly, as she passed, the lawyer just distributed these funds, and it was very well received.
Very nice,
That's
Josh.
lovely. Thank you. Thank you for those really beautiful comments for Alice Horder. I hope as we all walk the trails, we all just say thank you, Alice.
Thank you, Alice.
So she should be honored and recognized. So from council's standpoint, what sort of action do we need? We need a motion to approve this.
Yeah,
So receipt of the $150,000 from Dinosaur Hill to complete the trail work.
Yes, I will make a motion for the $150,000 from Dinosaur Hill Nature Preserve to pay for the nature trail improvements and the nature trail.
Motion by Trent, support by Jones. Any other questions, discussion? City Clerk?
Salvia.
Yes.
Vixen.
Yes.
Hauser.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Sage.
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. So when will the work start on this one?
can be very busy after July 1.
Take your vacation now.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Nick.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Moving on to item E, consideration to request to approve the resolution affirming the city's support for the MDOT contract number 25-5288. This is for our Paint Creek Bridge 31.7 replacement project, and authorize the city manager to sign all grant-related documents. So this is, there was a good memo in our packet giving us the history, because this one has been going on for a while. I know Councilmember Sage has been involved with this. Is this going to come from Treasurer Maggio? Where are we starting on this one?
Jason.
Jason?
Yep, Jason is heading this.
I do have it, but I just got an email from Vince, and he's in the waiting room if we want to pull the skate park forward.
This should just take a minute.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we can do it right after this one.
All right, so, yeah, so this is for the TAP grant. So we got, we received an email earlier this week, or last week, I'm sorry, for approval of the agreement and the attached resolution. So the new estimate is for $978,200. The city's cost, or their share, would be $261,990, which is coming from our DNR trust fund grant. So as Councilmember Sage has provided, the project is out to bid through MDOT. I think the letting date is still the 11th of July.
Yes.
So tonight, we're seeking approval to nominate City Manager Banda to be our authorizing representative and to approve the resolution. And once we send that over, they will reply back to us with the agreement to sign.
So this is basically record keeping and housekeeping, moving it forward a fiscal year.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Counsel?
I-
Motion by Trent,
Yeah, motion by Trent to nominate.
Support.
support by Sage. Any discussion?
No.
Councilmember King, discussion, questions?
Yeah, so it looks like initially we had budgeted for 191,000, is that correct? And the cost now will be 261,000?
So our portion is going to be covered by the DNR trust fund.
Right. The
So
TAP
initially,
grant.
we had a budget for it, but then we got another funding source.
So it's not
We
costing
get the
us anything.
191,000 back?
It's not costing us anything.
Perfect.
Any other questions?
You're all for that,
like
right?
it.
Yes.
For that, great.
I had the same question earlier today, and I
Yes.
remembered it when you spoke, so thank
Yes.
you. City Clerk?
Salvia,
Yes.
Vixen.
Yes.
Hauser.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes,
King,
Yes.
Sage.
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. So let's move on to item H. We're going to pull ahead our discussion on the skate park. We have Spawn Ranch. Vince zooming in to join us. So for council, you're going to move ahead in your packet. Councilmember Hauser has his own page number
I-
system, so.
The packet's not big enough, so I make my own. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
So my packet says 156. So we've got a memo. And so how do we want to do this? Jason, do you want to talk about it?
Sure, yes,
Okay.
I can start, and I actually do have a mock-up here I'll put on the table, but.
Cool.
Oh, my. Wow.
Provided that for us, so you'll see that through Vince's presentation, but, so January 13th of 2025, the design build contract was established with Spawn Ranch. We've completed everything up to the point now where we're ready to start construction drawings. So the agreement from January stated to bring the project back so council can see the design. And so tonight, what we're looking for is to approve the design and to approve Spawn Ranch to proceed with construction drawings. And with that, Vince will go over the whole plan.
Welcome, Vince.
Yep, can you guys hear me?
Sure can.
Great, good to meet you guys and connect with you. I am sending a request to share screen. Hopefully that comes through. All right. So you guys all look like a bunch of skateboarders, so I assume I can use the technical jargon and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about?
Absolutely. Yes. I skateboarded here.
Beautiful. All right, can you see my screen?
That I made.
yes. Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect.
My wheels are in the lobby.
I'm taking a picture.
A little bit about me. I've been a skateboarder for over 25 years. I'm a Midwesterner, Iowa born and raised. Now live in Los Angeles, California. I'm a husband and father of 2 young boys, and I'm co-owner of Spawn Ranch and design director. I've worked on over 100, probably closer to 200 at this point, municipal skate park projects, several in Michigan, highlighted a few here, Milford, Northville, and Armada are ones that I've worked on in the last couple of years. And that's me skateboarding in my younger years. Those are a few years old, but still an avid skateboarder. And so that's me, a quick overview of the process. Jason touched on it a bit. So this is what we have done to date. So we've checked a lot of boxes, which is great. So we first went through a contracting process. Then the city commissioned some studies of the site for us to better understand what we were working with there, what our canvas was all about in terms of utilities, topography, soil conditions, all that good stuff, all of those critical pieces of information that ensure we're building a facility that is built to last and is going to serve this community safely for several decades to come. So that was completed. I also personally did an inspection of the site myself, where I walked the site and analyzed the existing conditions. Once contract was in place, we did a project kickoff meeting with city staff and all the various stakeholders. From there, got some initial input and guidance from the key stakeholders in that meeting that directed me as I was creating the first batch of conceptual designs. So I initially created 3 different concepts showing different approaches to the site. We then looked at those internally. So I presented those internally to that internal group of city staff and stakeholders. We reviewed the 3 concepts, discussed the pros and cons of each. I think coming out of that meeting, we had a preferred one that we all collectively kind of liked as a front runner, though they were all solid. There was one that kind of stood above the rest, but we didn't want to make the decision solely in that room. So we had a second meeting where we presented those designs to the public, the 3 different directions. There was some really great conversation during that meeting about the pros and cons of each. The same concept that we initially liked in our internal meeting just happened to be the same one that the public was kind of leaning towards as well, which is good. It doesn't always work that way, that the concept you're personally liking the best is the one the public receives the best as well. So that was nice that we had consensus on a concept. From there, we refined that preferred concept. So during both the internal and the public meeting, we received some feedback regarding some minor tweaks we could make to that concept. So those tweaks were made, and now we have a refined preferred concept that we are seeking approval on here this evening. So that is what I will show you now. So this is a plan view, bird's eye view of the skate park design. You can see how it fits into the overall site. The skate park itself is roughly 7,500 square feet of new cast-in-place concrete terrain. Plus, in addition to that 7,500 square feet, there's a concrete entry area, kind of entry gathering area, spectator seating area. That's in addition to that. And then also we have an access path connecting to the sidewalk on the south side, which is shown in a slightly different shade of gray to indicate that that work would be done by others. As you can see, the skate park has a triangular shape to it, kind of a triangular flow. Modern skate parks do not have to be these rectangles that are so linear and back and forth in terms of their flow. We can get a little bit more creative when we're creating modern concrete spaces. So you'll see that kind of triangular shape, and flow carried throughout the facility. Lastly, you can see we're working around existing infrastructure. So the smaller half court is going to be demolished. The larger full court on the east side will stay. We also stayed clear of the existing baseball diamond fence on the south side. And then it's not really depicted here, but there is a drainage swale that runs across the site just north of the baseball diamond fence. So we're staying clear of that as well. So that was kind of our southern boundary because we did not want the skate park to interrupt the natural flow of water through this space. And then on the west side, you can see we're kind of butting up to that existing curb along the parking lot. And there are 3 existing trees that we wanted to preserve. So we've done that and kind of worked around those 3 trees with our entry/gathering area. So this is a 3D perspective of the skate park design. So again, we enter from the west side, from the parking lot, and then you kind of enter at grade, and then we kind of naturally step up via steps and ramps. So as the site naturally builds towards the northeast corner, the skate park terrain follows that natural slope and grade of the site. And yeah, so we're just creating various elements, steps, ramps, benches, railings, all that good stuff, and naturally blending it into the topography of the site. What you'll notice that's kind of unique about this concept is it focuses less on the traditional bowls and pools and ramps and half pipes and vert ramps and those kind of traditional skate park elements. There's a little bit of that. You can see, there's ramps and embankments and stuff like that here and there for some, continuous flow and a circular flow. But what we're really trying to do here and what the community really resonated with was creating more of an architectural plaza, just kind of mimicking or recreating a plaza, like a bank plaza or a tower plaza you'd find in a downtown of a larger city, filled with steps and railings and planters and banisters, benches, stuff like that. So we're really recreating that authentic urban environment architecture, if you will. And that's what, as skateboarders, we crave. And I'm sure you've seen them around town riding on stuff they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
That's really what the modern skateboarder is seeking. Yeah, some like bowls and pools and ramps, but the majority, and we heard this from your community specifically, they really want an authentic street style, plaza style experience that doesn't look so much like a traditional skate park. It just looks like a natural pedestrian plaza that just so happens to allow skateboarding. So that's the spirit that we've captured here. And this is the skate park design looking west towards the Public Works building.
Oh, that's a good.
And then here are just a couple examples kind of showing you what this finished product, what this style of skate park, what this aesthetic can look like. So as you can see here with this other example of kind of a similar style, what's cool about these spaces is if no one's skateboarding in this space, you wouldn't even necessarily know it's a skate park. You would just say, oh, that's a cool pedestrian plaza, a place where I can go read a book or eat my lunch when I'm on break, or where we could have a farmer's market or a summer concert series or something like that. And that's really a win-win, because from a community standpoint, it feels like a more inviting, comfortable space to be a part of. And again, as skateboarders, this is that real authentic type of terrain that we crave, because it's not so obvious and intentional as this, fenced in facility with, rectangular linear ramps where you're more so sentenced to go skate there and train there. This is more so just a free park-like environment, again, that just so happens to allow skateboarding, and all of the concrete edges are wrapped with that protective steel to make sure the concrete isn't, chipping and breaking over time. And just a couple more examples of that out in the real world, the architectural world. And this is kind of that spirit that we try to capture with this design. So it's progressive, it's modern, and it's unique to Michigan and the Midwest as a whole. So we also heard from the community that they didn't want just another skate park that looks like every other skate park in the surrounding community. So this isn't the biggest skate park in the world. It's only 7,500 square feet, which is kind of a medium-sized skate park. But because of its unique design, it will definitely be a draw and attract skateboarders from all over Michigan that are looking for a new flavor, something new. And here's another example. This is a skate park, a skate plaza with that kind of similar approach that we built out here in California. All right, and then here's a labeling of the design. So I won't go through every nuanced detail of this, though. Like you said, you guys know all these terms like hubble edges and pole jams. I'm sure you know exactly what that means, but I won't go through each one. I'll kind of focus on some of the ancillary amenities here. So number 11, as discussed, is our entry area. Number 12 is our access path by others. 13, we have 4 spectator benches. This would be kind of just a standard park bench. Also by others, there's one here, and then 2 underneath the shade structure, which is number 14. So kind of just a standard, as of now, kind of just a standard 12 by 12 gazebo pavilion style shade structure, just to provide a little bit of coverage. And then this is just, again, delineating where Spawn Ranch's scope boundary starts and stops. So we will be handling this area, and then everything outside of that, including this access path to the south, would be done by others. And then lastly, this is the current cost estimate. So we are landing at $518,000. As you can see, we were previously right on target at $500K, and we're kind of going back and forth on the entry area. We currently have the entry area at the $18,000 cost in Spawn Ranch's scope, bumping up our total to $518. So if you guys want to have that done by others, then that would get us right back to that 500K budget. I don't know if Vaughn is there, if you guys touched on it earlier, but from my understanding, there's been some private fundraising being worked on that we're confident it's going to cover that little bit that we're over 500. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So in the cost, we've got our design, we've got our various components of construction, so mobilization, the earthwork, the grading, all the elements themselves, the concrete flat work, as I mentioned, all of the steel. So every linear foot of concrete in this skate park is going to be wrapped with that protective steel to make sure it's not chipping and breaking over time. And then again, here we have that concrete entry area. So that is pretty much it. Let me pause on an image of the design again and open it up for questions and comments.
So Vaughn, it says Mayor Salvia. So quick question. Love the design, not a skateboarder, not for a very long time. Question, how many people will like max capacity would this park hold?
That's a question for me?
Yep.
Yeah, so we have a little calculator that we use. So let me just run those numbers.
Sorry, Vince. Too many V's.
No worries. So yeah, we have a little calculator we use. It's not an exact science, but based on the square footage of approximately 7,500 square feet, our calculator that we use, that we've kind of toyed with over the past couple of decades, that tells us that this facility, without feeling crowded at all, can safely accommodate 25 riders at one time. It can accommodate more riders than that, but it's just going to start to feel exponentially more cramped and crowded beyond that 25. So anything sub 25, you're good, and at 25, it starts to kind of reach that capacity, and then beyond that, you will start to feel that that cramped feeling a bit. But you know, the users and riders will come in waves. Saturday and Sunday afternoon is going to be your peak hours, and you know, during the week it'll be less crowded. So Saturday and Sunday is really when you're going to see the most activity. But I'm confident this skate park can handle that. But yeah, be warned, as I mentioned, when this thing opens, it's going to be the shiny new toy in the community, and you're going to have a heavy level of usage, especially for those first couple months. That will start to wane over time, but you know, we're proud of this design. We're confident in this design. So I think, you know, beyond that first couple months, I think for the duration, your facility will continue to attract riders from throughout the state.
Okay, thank you. And then I really want to clarify the scope and the cost. So if we could go to page 162, where it shows the scope of work. So I understood the 18,000 addresses the light gray on the diagram. So if we could go to the one with the diagram that says scope boundary, that one. So dotted yellow is around the entire skate park. So that is all included for the not to exceed 500,000. The 18,000 is the light gray cement pathway. Is that correct?
No,
No.
no.
Okay, Councilmember Jones?
Yeah, right, he's drawing it there. The sidewalk is not included in this. It was something that Jason mentioned that he felt would be necessary at some
Okay.
point. Where he's drawing, that's the 18,000, that would be done by donations, and Frank Rewald and Sons. So-
Okay, that helps clarify for me, since I
Yeah,
knew that we
yeah.
also have donations
I'm glad
from the realtors
Yes.
group, who
Yep.
gave us money for the shade structure and benches. So the cement there is the money that comes from Rewald, and those funds are at the Community Foundation currently.
Currently, we have the money, in fact, Vaughn was able to get 2 more donations today that were kind of surprise donations. So we are over the 18,000 that we need. And Frank is not giving a cash donation, he is doing the labor at cost for this amount. So he will do an $18,000
Okay, so-
seating area, and that doesn't even include the 7,500 from the Realtors. So that's above and beyond also.
Okay.
So,
And so just to
That
be
makes sense.
clear, if we could put a different color around that box for the 18,
yeah. Just so we clarify, that is not in your scope of work, that five.
because the page
Yeah.
at the top says scope boundary.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. I'll provide a revised drawing. I think at the time we were preparing this packet for your meeting, Spawn Ranch was going to do that. So since then, since we prepared this packet, things have changed, which is totally fine. We by no means are dead set on doing this entry area. So yeah, totally fine by us, and we'll revise those drawings.
Council, questions? Councilmember Trent?
Yeah, so the light gray area apparently is a sidewalk, so that extends past that, right? I mean, we know that that's gonna be in the future.
So are you asking, is that existing or needed?
No, I'm asking when, or there are any plans for that, and confirming that that is a future idea, or is it kind of hypothetical? That's all I want to know. Is it real or not?
So right now, it's something that we would like to do if we do get enough funds, right? So maybe there's enough donated funds that come in. But what we wanted to present is a skate park with an entrance that led to a route where the park could be accessed, right, from the parking lot, which is why the diagram is shown the way it is right there.
Okay.
But yeah, so right now, if we have the money or the funds to do the additional sidewalk, we definitely will, but it would be future otherwise.
Okay, because, I mean, it's a sidewalk that goes all the way to the road or something, right? I mean, it doesn't end there where you have it, because that's just where the drawing ends.
Yeah, so the sidewalk would connect to the lot that's outside the ball field, because
Okay, I got you.
we have the
No.
drinking fountain in the middle.
Okay.
And then the, additional restrooms, across the street. So we're trying to make the connected route there.
Okay, just ask, no, I like the plans, it looks great. I like it a lot, really am.
Yeah, the sidewalk currently extends to here, so up to, I'm not sure if you can see that red line,
Yep.
but it goes to here currently, so.
Oh, I see.
We're
Okay.
really just
There's
adding
not a lot.
this section
Okay.
of it.
Yeah.
So another fundraising opportunity. So that's good to clarify. So 18,000 is the other box, and then I'm going to call it the gray squiggly line is another fundraising opportunity.
Okay,
Cost TBD, I don't know, someone I'm sure can get us a cost for that.
great.
Okay.
So-
Correct.
Mayor Pro
Yeah,
Tem?
I have a question. I'm not a skateboarder, but it looks like an interesting design. The question I have is for Nick or Nick. I mean, just looking at that, if, do we have a carve out so our DPW workers can park there? I mean, in theory, you could have, according to, 35 cars parking. Are we gonna leave room for, have we thought about that, our city workers to park? And then if that parking lot is full, which a lot of times it seems like it is during the day, where are these people gonna park, in theory?
Absolutely, it's a great question. So, I don't want to say this publicly yet, but Dillman and Upton uses that as their private parking lot. It's first come, first served. Technically, they just happen to be there first all the time. They have a giant lot across the street that they store things in. So when the time is right and this is approved, we will talk to the man folks and let them know this is now a public parking lot, not their private lot, and they could use their own lot. We have that auxiliary lot across the street that the sidewalks will connect to also on the east side of Pollock. So we have thought about that, and for right now, all of these years, it's been great for them to use it for free, but it will be signed for park usage only at that point. Good question.
Thank you.
Good. Councilmember Jones?
Just a little more input on that, and Vince would be able to give more backup on this. Really, Monday through Friday during the day, when DPW is there, will not be a ton of, it's going to be the weekend when they're not there. Their cars are not parked there.
Yeah.
Is it-
Yep, for sure.
Is it gonna say in the DPW, like DPW parking only or something? No,
VIP.
Yeah.
it's already there?
On
Okay,
east-
already there. Vaughn, want to say anything?
No, I think Vince has got a great plan. I love the design. I've been working closely with the
would you, maybe you should just approach, and we'd love to have your face on camera, you know. Your fan club can,
Yeah, my fan club. So I'm
all the skaters, yeah.
Vaughn Gallagher, 622 7th Street, and been working closely with Jason and Nick and Jason back in the back and everybody else, Deb, and on city council. I love the design, love what Vince has put together. It's very reminiscent of a park that I really love, and it's in his hometown. So we had that video, and I wish we could have played that video of Matt Berger skating your park in La Punta.
Who's Matt Berger?
Professional skateboarder.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
And
anyway,
an Olympian, yeah.
it really shows the park well, and that really is kind of the design and the flow that we were looking for as skaters here in the Rochester area. It's unlike anything we've seen anywhere in this community or in Michigan. So I'm really excited to bring it to fruition here, so, yeah. And to that point, I did have a meeting with Frank Rewald today. That front area is gonna be redesigned, and the model that I put together, that is Vince's design, his initial design, which we loved. But it was very costly. So we scaled it down so that we could get it to that 18,000 that we've raised, which is in the fund right now. But I met with Frank this morning. He's gonna do all of that, including all the concrete benches, the shade structure. It's a really classy style of entryway, yes, that as well.
I was going to put that, I really like that shape.
Me too.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful, and
Yeah.
it just it'll be, like Vince says, you won't realize this is a skate park. You'll
It's
walk up
beautiful,
to it and say, this is just a wonderful place to be. But Frank is gonna do that for $18,000. I don't care what it costs me to do it, I'm gonna do it for $18,000.
Wow,
So,
that's very nice.
Great. Oh, that's so nice.
That's where we're at.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Councilmember Sage?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I just had a question regarding, will there be separate documentation that validates the 18?
I hand it over.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can do that, yeah.
Right, the only problem we might have is we had a lengthy budget discussion where we decided to bond for some funding for certain projects. Within that discussion, we all agreed 500,000 was it. So I don't think it would be appropriate for us to approve a 518,000 on a 500,000 bonded approved budget project. That's my only concern here. So the trapezoidal shape of the park is the 500,000, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so then there would be someone else come before us to fund with the commitment for the other 18?
So I think our contract with Spawn Ranch would be the 500,000. And so going back to that diagram where I was asking him to surround the area that is included in the 500,000, I think that is the part where council needs to understand that the 500,000 is the trapezoid on the right. The left, we just learned, is the 18,000, and TBD on the sidewalk.
Got it.
Councilmember Jones.
And to take it a little further, just to clarify, city manager, would we need to come back with the design for the entryway and get another approval?
I would think it'd be appropriate if we just enter an agreement and we acknowledge it. It's received funds and they're gonna spend their own money anyway, so
Because it's in the foundation as
just cut,
grants.
we can redraw that
So
line.
today we approve the
Smooth it.
500,000 and
Right.
that's treated separate. Does that make sense?
So it sounds like the action that we're looking for from council is to approve the design, the trapezoidal shape with the entryway under a separate agreement, including funds that are currently held, donated funds, and funds held at the community foundation. Is that the action?
Correct.
Okay. Council?
I would love to make the motion.
Councilmember by Jones. Councilmember Jones, do you have a motion?
I would love to make a motion to approve the design as presented and authorize Spawn Ranch to proceed with the construction, drawing, development phase of the skate park for the total, which was via the bond of $500,000.
Motion by Jones, support by
I support that.
Trent.
Yes.
Any other discussion? Does the motion need to reflect the separate agreement which was requested?
I'll put that in.
You have that? Okay, thank you.
I
You got it?
gathered that was part of.
Good. I thought it was too, just clarifying. Councilmember Jones?
I just want to say, embarrassing the Gallaghers, and just say one quick thing, that this has been a 10-year process. So I came in at the tail end. Splat was the name of the original committee that fundraised. Kathy Dalton no longer lives in Michigan. I wish she was here to see this night. But just thank you to have citizens that wanted to do something like this and worked so hard, and 10 years later, it's done. Sort of. So thank you for all that you've done all these years for this.
Councilmember Trent?
I'll just pile on a little bit. The first I'd heard bits and pieces about the skate park as an idea and a concept and trying to get built here in Rochester. So I think it was in June of 2023 when I think 80 people came to speak to us of all ages, and I was like, hey, sign me up. And so I am so excited that Councilmember Jones and this council has moved forward with a project that I really wanted to happen as well. So thank you, everyone.
It is very exciting, and what I really like about it is that it sounds like this is something different, that this is going to be a really cool skate park. We like cool, different, exciting things in Rochester. City Clerk, the roll call.
Salvia.
Yes.
Vixen.
Yes.
Hauser.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Sage.
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Thanks, Vince.
Thanks, Vince,
Thank
very
you,
much
Vince.
for all your work.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you guys. Have a good one.
You can relieve the babysitter now.
Thank you so much.
It looks
Take care.
sunny, looks sunny and warm wherever he is, but it could be Rochester. It's sunny and warm here.
It's Los Angeles.
All right, so let's see, we covered item D, we covered item E. So moving on to item F, this is
No, we
consider.
didn't do, did we? Oh, yes, we
Yeah,
did. Sorry,
F
I
and G.
apologize.
Okay.
Yep.
Item F is consideration to approve, this is Oakland County Equalization Division assessing contract. So I know, Marcy, this has been a topic that has been on her radar ever since we learned about it, so.
I wish it was as pleasant as the skate park agenda.
Right.
But it's the other direction. So many years we've worked with Oakland County, and we've contracted with Oakland County to handle our assessing needs. I did a little research, and I went back 16 years, and from 2010 to 2026, there have been increases in the assessing cost, never exceeding more than 5.1%. So this year, we presented our proposed budget to City Council, and we had built in an increase of 6%.
Wow.
So we thought that is a safe, a safe amount of increase to build in. But the day after we submitted our, thank you.
I have cough drops too.
Our budget to City Council, we received word that we were going to have an increase in the contract. It was going to be 85% increase.
Oh, my gosh.
It was equivalent to an increase of $84,000 above the budget that we presented and was approved by City Council. It was exceeded $78,000. So I'd like to give a little background. So our agreement and our partnership with Oakland County, we can't speak strongly enough about how we really do appreciate the high-quality service that they provide. Our number one revenue source in the city of Rochester is property tax. So assessing provides the building block for us to do accurate assessing for taxation And we have always worked very closely with Oakland County, have a strong partnership, and had great advanced communication until this year. So, so we're asking for City Council to understand that this came out a little bit out of left field, and there was a disruption in our budget planning. We take a lot of pride in the work that we do. So this extreme increase really threatens the affordability and our continued participation with Oakland County. But we can't make a change because our current contract expires June 30th of 2025. We can't change on a dime. There's a lot of things that we need to do to put in place. We need to vet different independent assessing firms. We need to look locally and see what our neighbors are doing to see if we can do a consortium. And we need to not disrupt our information and our taxing for the number one revenue source for the city of Rochester. So we can't move in an emotional way. So we have to look at it conservatively and build a plan. So we're asking for you to consider a proposed path forward. And that is, at this point, it would be to renew the contract at the initial rate with Oakland County to avoid any service disruption and allow us to continue a controlled evaluation of different alternatives. So in the contract that we would potentially sign with Oakland County, you can provide 90 days notice, and either party can nullify the contract. So we're asking for a little time. We'll need to vet other alternatives. We'll need to build infrastructure, which in this case would be software and hardware to support that new infrastructure, and make sure that any move that we make isn't emotional, that it's conservative and right. So we're asking for your support to possibly approve the extension of the interlocal contract with Oakland County Equalization Division at the initial rate effective July 1, 2025. So I'm expecting there's going to be some questions. So
Thank you.
please let us know.
My first question is, City Attorney, have you reviewed the contract, and is it severable with a 90-day notice?
Yes, in fact, Marcy and I went through that to make sure that we are not locked into the full 3 years.
Thank you. Councilmember Jones?
Just basically, actually more comments. You also went in front of them as well as many other cities, correct?
Right.
And, go ahead, no, take
Right.
it.
There are 32 cities, villages, and townships that also received an astronomical increase proposed to them. So we reached out to all of our fellow treasurers, let them know what was happening if they didn't know ahead of time. We went to the finance committee level at Oakland County. We stated our concern with all of so many other communities. Then it was decided at that finance committee level to move it to the Board of Commissioners. So at the Board of Commissioner level, at first, during that meeting, they had approved a pause so that they would take a little bit more time, have a committee with the CVTs, and decide on a potential softening of the proposed rates, and just give the CVTs a little bit more time to budget and plan. Everyone was just shocked by this, and many of them, like Rochester, had already presented, approved, or proposed a budget. So this came out of left field for many, if a majority of the 32 CVTs. So at that meeting at the Board of Commissioners, the initial plan was to take a pause and to have a committee formed and to potentially delay. But there was a pause in the meeting, and then it came back to a vote. And at the end of the meeting, the Board of Commissioners had decided to accept the proposal, which is included in your packet, and not do a delay, not do a softening. So, we're here tonight. This is where we've landed.
I just want to say the
Okay,
other part of
Councilmember
it.
Jones, you still have the floor.
Thank you. I just want to say that I am hopeful that you find another assessment company that can do it after this happened to us. So I assume there are other good ones out there.
There are.
And so to take this from them, because it's not going to go back down, right? I mean, you would assume this is their stance, this is where they're moving forward. And you have no legal grounds. You guys have done everything. I'm sure you've met with the attorney. And so this is it, right? You take it or you have to take it, basically. You take it or you take it.
Yeah, the information we've received from some of the other, of the 32, several have made a jump. It's just that we want to make sure that our jump doesn't cause disruption and that we move forward conservatively and cautiously so that we protect and preserve the revenue that the city needs.
Councilmember Trent?
Yes, just a couple of questions. So, so did they have a rationale? Or did they just send a like, hey, here it is, it's 85% more?
They did have a rationale. They had, they cited that indirect cost. They had a newly vetted plan where they've identified indirect costs as part of the cost of providing this service that has not always been included. There was different rates for the different levels of assessors that was worked in. The assessing contract's not the only one that this happened to. In the latter part of 2024, Oakland County presented for the communities that use Oakland County's sheriffs, they presented a new contract in a very similar fashion. So it caught those CBTs that use that service on their heels then. And one of the comments from one of the commissioners, he suggested, hey, we heard about the disruption that this caused on the sheriff's contract, and we had decided that we were not going to do this going forward, but it is almost identical to what happened. I don't want to speak ill. I don't want to say, throw any shade at Oakland County. I think the workers there do a fine job, and we have had a great partnership in the past. And we simply said, and Anthony and I both went and spoke at the Finance Committee, and we said, we would just have appreciated some heads up and like, what's happening? What is driving this?
Yeah.
Because if you're in need, that's what partnerships do. So maybe we can't get you the full 84,000 in the first year, but tell us what's happening. And it was stated at the meeting that we went to, well, the numbers are the numbers and the numbers don't lie.
Oh, wow, I'm sorry to hear that, yes.
I don't know if that's exactly, that didn't answer all my questions.
Yes, not to a finance person. Thank you. Councilmember King?
So I read about this in the newspaper, a week or so ago, and I did see that some other communities reacted very quickly and made some changes, and it does sound like there's some significant savings that they've identified. But I do really like this approach. I think being thoughtful, this is obviously very important to us from a revenue standpoint. What are the other implications of changing? The fact that there's an out for us in this contract gives me a lot of comfort. So I appreciate you being very thoughtful in it, and I, would like us to consider what our other options are, because I think there are savings out there, but I would be supportive of this.
Yeah. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the rationale is very simple. The county wants a lot more money for their projects, and they're hitting the local communities for it. And what worries me is, they had the same rationale for the police and now for this. We are very dependent on the county, so we could see this coming, all kinds of different things, so it's something we need to be very aware of. I've told some people on the council, I was on the council when this came up years ago. One, it was harder to find alternatives back then, but it wasn't nearly this kind of increase. So, I mean, this is just exponentially outrageous to me. So, but I do like the conservative approach, and I would support the way we're doing it, the way you've outlined it.
Thank you. Councilmember Hauser.
If I may, and I'm not going to mince my words, I think it's frankly unconscionable what they've done to us without the notice and in this amount, okay? And Section 11 of this agreement provides us 90 days notice. I would encourage all of us to really think about what our next steps are. And as far as I'm concerned, they kind of forced us to go look somewhere else, you know? And I understand costs go up. I understand things get more expensive over time, but this is just ridiculous. So as far as I'm concerned, I would start the clock now and start looking for something, you know, equally as good, if not better, for a fraction of that cost.
We're definitely on that.
Yep, yep. So I want to thank both of you and all the administration. I know you guys have been, I'm going to say why is that talking to you? Front runners on this. You have been involved right from the get-go. You were at the committee meeting. You let me know. I was able to speak with Commissioner Spies as well as Commissioner Johnson, who's Rochester Hills, before they went to the vote. Commissioner Johnson hadn't even seen the detail. I was able to send him the detail, let him know that this doesn't affect his constituents, but this is egregious when they were before us 30 days before and didn't even hint at any change coming forward. So that is very, very disappointing. So I think you've handled it very well, the best you can, and I don't think we have any choice. And I did communicate that with both the commissioners, that they were kind of leaving us no choice but to look at other options. You know, I didn't make any commitments, but we have to look at other options. We had just passed a budget that had $100,000 money going back into our general fund, and this would cancel that out effectively. So, Councilmember Sage.
Thank you. I also found the convenience ironic that we pass a budget on the 12th, we received this letter on the 13th. The letter also goes out of its way to indicate while the new rates reflect the actual cost of providing services, they're also lower than the average $33 per parcel cost paid by municipalities, which don't do their own assessing, and yet does not go on to even tell us how much better or the improvement we would receive by this increase. So I fully support finding another option.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
How did our two Oakland County representatives vote on that issue?
Spies was no.
He was firmly in support of it. He was actually leading the fight to have this looked at much more closely, and he was a definite no on this. Commissioner Brennan approved it, so.
Oh, my
There
gosh.
you go.
Okay.
I just wanna say
Councilmember
one
Trent, and then I'm going to be looking for a motion.
Well, thank you. All I wanted to say was I am glad that you're taking the time to look at this because we don't know what the prices are, and I'm glad that you're always very thoughtful in trying to find another vendor and to get the same quality for the, cheaper price.
Oakland Township is in the same boat with us, so we have some neighbors in the community. Maybe there's opportunity for some consortium. We're looking and, shaking every tree and looking under every stone to find the best path forward.
I know we will.
Yes,
I
fully
know we
approve.
will.
I don't.
Absolutely.
I don't like it either.
So, council, do we have any motions regarding this? I know how we all feel about it.
I think we've all said.
Councilmember Sage.
This will be the first time I make a reluctant motion. I reluctantly approve the increase in the assessment from Oakland County with an understanding that we would move forward in exploring quickly other options.
Motion by Sage, support by Jones. Any other discussion? Seeing none?
Can you bold and emphasize while the
Right.
city explores alternative options?
That will be bold.
That would be
Thank you.
Be bolded. But I also will say this, I also had a meeting with Oakland County, Dave Coulter's office, and I expressed the comments that we've made tonight, and their basic comment is, well, they're kind of market rates. It was still an 84% increase. So, City Clerk, the roll call, please.
Salvia,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your hard work. Okay, that concludes our reports and regular business.
Nope. Item G.
One more.
G, oh, this is an important one. Okay, item G, consideration of cloud transition to Microsoft 365 BSNA Cloud for $164,000. This was also in our budget discussion items. My recollection is the ask is less than what we have in the budget. Treasurer, is this your item?
It is, yes, and you would be correct. So when we were looking at this before, this has come up during goals and objectives, finally had some pricing to put to it. We've talked about it for a couple of years. So there's two parts to, well, there's really three. There's the BSNA, so that's the city's main ERP software. That is everything that's general ledger, utility billing, that's all of the pieces. BSNA is, that is all they do, is municipalities. That is their main thing, and they have built up their software over the years. It really started with assessing, conveniently enough. There's not a lot of softwares that can manage with assessing. And so over the years, they've built around municipalities. This is what the majority in Michigan utilize. So one part of this is from the end of life on the servers. So the servers are up, and I'd rather not have to waste money, good money on something antiquated. And there's a lot of enhancements that you get on moving to a cloud platform, services and things that we do not have now locally that we would then have both with BSNA and the ERP side. And then the other piece is then you'll see Office 365. That's the other servers, right? So we have 8 altogether. This is going to then move both email to cloud, and then we're going to do a follow-up as soon as we get that done with moving to SharePoint, so that'll get the files and the file server, and that will then come offline. We'll get that moved to the cloud. And then we're going to end up with a lot more really big key things. The cybersecurity side is not matched in any other options. Microsoft, and by the way, BSNA Cloud, they also utilize Microsoft's government servers. So the back end is still Microsoft on both sides. They make Microsoft, it's specific for government, for compliance. So even with police and lien and all that, it is, the data centers are backed up on the continental US. They don't leave the United States. And the security and the cybersecurity side of it is something you can't buy, just the way of how it functions. So having things like ransomware and that is extremely less, just because of how it works. And the other benefit is also continuity. So we were not affected by it, but when you had the municipalities with the big ice storm that came through Michigan, right, earlier this year, and there were so many that were offline. And, we had a team that went up to help Montmorency County, but they were like, how do we do payroll? We don't have access to anything. So the other piece that's a benefit to this is not only the super high uptime on Microsoft, but essentially we would be able to still continue business as usual anywhere that we would have internet access to. And so there's a huge benefit on that. Then there's also some service enhancements, like with BSNA and also with Office, to where we can start programming automations, like workflow paths. That's the thing I think is going to help the most internally and operationally. We'll actually be able to do things like, auto sort and filter and send things like email inquiries. If somebody emails the city and has an inquiry, it actually will analyze the message and we can have it go to the correct department and you don't have to touch it. And then there's other things too, like with files, you're able to actually share files easier now with it. So, and multiple people can work on them at the same time. So, if you have an Excel file, it's budget time, it's what, everyone can be opening it and using it. And then the reporting tools and their new dashboard features are really, really nice on the software side for it. That lets you basically customize whatever you want to look at across anything in the entire system. So if there's certain points, like let's say we wanted, I don't know, the skate park project, and, council just wanted to watch, what invoices were coming into it. You actually could, once it was set up, that, hey, any activity there can update and send notifications to council so you can actually see what is happening and where things are. It's as creative as you want to get, you can take it to. So that is the ask. Is to move that, and as council remembered during goals and objectives, it was to bring it into this fiscal year, and that's where the original was the 195, and then we're down. The full amount is really 164, but as was noted in the packet, and you just heard from the prior item, about the assessing and specials and taxes and all that, so we don't have software to have it. So this would include the pricing that should we find different paths and avenues, we actually will be able to have a home for it. And then the benefit on, say, for assessing side is with it being remote and in the cloud. Right now, there's a lot of work that even on the inspectors, it's out in the field, they're writing notes on paper, and then they're coming back to the offices, and then they have to put it on the cards and input it, that goes away, right? It's
Why the costs are so high.
It's direct changes and everything right into the assessing cards and the records. So there's a lot of efficiencies that are gained, it's not everything is necessarily, this does cost more than how we do things currently, but you get a lot of different services and benefits and enhancements and security and things out of it. So that's the ask tonight is then to answer any questions and then look at moving to the two cloud services.
Councilmember Sage?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Anthony, I appreciate the hard sell. With that, I will make a motion to approve the transition of the city software systems to a cloud-based hosting for both BSNA, ERP, and Microsoft 365 with a total project cost of $164,020.
Support.
Motion by Sage, support by King. Any other questions, discussion? I'm in for the cybersecurity. It's important. It's really important.
And the assessment piece.
And assessing. City Clerk, the roll call, please.
Salvia.
Yes.
Vixen.
Yes.
Hauser.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Sage.
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you, Council.
All right, how about we move on to item 10, which is our reports from various boards and commissions, and we'll start off with Rochester Area Youth Authority.
It's just for the correction, it's assistance. So maybe we just need to change that somewhere. It's not a.
Assistance, got it. I thought that
Yeah.
sounded strange.
I know, I
I'm
think
like,
it
why
might
am
have just changed on this one
I think
typing.
they switched like the youth and the rah.
Right.
I think that's a
Yeah.
rah-rah and a
For
rah-yah.
recreation, right?
For the sake of time, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on our last meeting because we were approving new officers and we were also approving budget. And I'm just going to say two things. There is a the Health and Wellness Fair I already talked about last time. So basically, there's a June 14th nonprofit fair. I think I talked about that earlier. That's happening at the Rochester Hills Public Library. There'll be lots of nonprofits. Good time to go see what the Rochester area has to offer. And then the only other thing is we will be working the gate again at Arts and Apples. Nonprofits are allowed to do that for a fundraiser. And Arts and Apples this year is September 5th and through the 7th.
Great.
That's it.
Oh, good, you're doing
That's
that
it.
again.
Doing it
Right.
fast, yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. Zoning Board of Appeals, Nick?
I was trying not to talk tonight. I almost made it. First time in a long time, 3 cases at the zoning board. Haven't had that in 14 years, actually. So first one was secondary sign for Bark Place, which is our new dog facility that took over Wet Noses. None of these went slam dunks. These were some pretty heavy conversations. The ZBA takes it very serious about why are you asking ask for a variance or a waiver from our existing codes. So they made their case corporately, why they needed a ground sign, because they had the sign on the building, and it was all about visibility coming from the west to the east. The building next to it to the west juts very far out. People coming by were missing the driveway, and they have a lot of clients that come in day to day, so it's a safety thing. So that was approved unanimously. Second was the Downtown Development Authorities had to modify their site plan that went to the Planning Commission for a extension of the corner jut out of the building that encroached on themselves because they own both parcels, but they're 2 separate parcels because of the easement for the road. And then secondarily, while they redesigned the shade structure from the west side of the project, that was just gonna be like carports, they were able to put that on the building, approved by the Planning Commission, a beautiful awning that's over the overhead doors, very functional, and wanted to wrap it around the front of the building, which was encroaching on the front yard setback, again, affecting no one, because it's the lighting gallery all the way across the street, deeper back that way, back to the south. So that was also approved. And then there's a home, and we're getting more and more of these. Folks are buying some little homes. This was on Albertson, one of the smallest lots in the city. It's like 50 by 80. And they had a detached garage that was partially on our vacated alley and partially on Bangkok Cuisine's property, non-conforming for forever, since I think it was built in 1922. So the new folks that bought it wanted to tear that little garage down. It's falling apart. It's flooding, and then move it in onto their own property, but only meet 6 inches on each side. So the abutting property owners were ecstatic to get it off their property. We didn't care because we just have an easement there that's an unimproved alley, so they also got approval for that. So it was a good meeting, and we have 2 cases this month as follow-up for residential garage-type issues also. So it's been busy.
Thank you, lots happening. Planning Commission,
Sure.
Hauser?
On June 2nd, 2025, we had our Planning Commission meeting. There were a few items up that evening. First, the Planning Commission approved a motion for site plan approval and payment in lieu of 13 parking spaces at 406 South Main Street. You will know that's the former Smith Jewelers. Second item on the agenda was that the Planning Commission voted to approve the changes to the city's zoning map. These are changes that the Planning Commission had been talking about for the past several months. To be clear, that zoning change will come before City Council in a to-be-determined meeting. I think, if not the next one, then I think first one in July, okay? And we will all have an opportunity to comment on the vote that was made by the Planning Commission that evening. Third project was Diversion Street. You'll remember there were apartments that were going to be built over there. We were presented with some changes to the site plan. We approved that, and that will be sent forward for a public hearing to discuss and approve the changes to the exterior and some of the layout, in particular some of the balconies, et cetera, of that building. And then fourth, 125 Main Street, very south part of the city. There's a Yemeni coffee shop that's opening, and they came before Planning Commission for payment in lieu of parking. They requested 7 spaces. And then finally, Planning Commission was put on notice that it can expect proposed changes to the zoning ordinance as it pertains to ancillary sales. I will defer to Brother Counsel as to when he thinks that would come before Planning Commission, but I told them be on the lookout for it. It's coming our way.
July meeting.
July meeting. You heard it here first, Ms. Ezek. Yes.
Thank you.
And that's all I've got. Yes, thank you.
It was a good meeting, and so for council, this means the next steps in the master plan. It comes to city council, so we go through it again. So we first review the language and the ordinances, and then we'll do the map. So, second round.
Can we get that earlier than Thursday?
No.
But like before you go out of town, before the July meeting? Got it. All right, Sister City Committee. Who's
Okay.
got this one?
Yeah, June 3rd we met, and we are having some of our meetings where we have presentations at the meeting, and this was the Rochester Hills Youth Council, came as well as their advisor, the adult advisor. And the Youth Council has been in existence since 2005, so it's been 20 years. They have 16 members that are representing all 4 districts of Rochester Hills. They operate pretty much the same as city council and how they are run. They have to be in the RCS school district. They do updates at city council meetings. They all have to be on a committee, and they do amazing stuff. I mean, it was, the amount of activities and fundraisers and things they're involved in is something we might be worthy of thinking about for our council also. And then we ended by hearing about the new dog park that is going to be opening up in Rochester Hills. So we had a little presentation on that, just a teaser.
Wow,
And
that's
it.
great.
Yeah.
Good news. Principal Shopping District.
You know what? I would like to move this to the next meeting.
Next
because I'm
meeting?
ill-prepared.
Okay, we'll move Principal
She did a
Shopping
good job on
District.
Sister
I used to go, what am I presenting? I missed it, so I apologize.
We
Yeah.
also need to add to the next meeting, the OPEB board met, and so we needed that one added. And so we'll move on to older person, that isn't the wrong name, it's the OPC. OPC report from
OPC.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, so we, at a meeting, we updated our code of conduct, which needed updating. We still had some remnants of COVID in that needed to come out, and believe it or not, we needed a code of conduct at the OPC sometimes. We had a presentation on the budget. There was a lot of improvements that are like in year 2 to the HVAC system and things, but there's still a fund balance of 78%, and we're going to have a public hearing on the 26th to approve the budget, and then the budget then would eventually come to this council for our approval. The summer soiree party is this June 20th, and it supports Meals on Wheels, and our tickets available, and it's at the OPC, and it's going to be a cruise theme calypso thing, so it should be a lot of fun and a very good cause. And just, again, a major issue that we're going to talk about is some of the classes are overcrowded, and we're kind of looking at ways to try to fix that problem, because people who've been in groups for years and years are having trouble getting in, because the good news is we're so full, the bad news is we're so full. So that's my report.
Wow, well, it's a good problem to have. Nice. And I think our last report is on the Asset Management Committee. It was kind of our agenda tonight, but anything else you want to add?
No, I think we touched all the bases on that. If there's any specific questions, I'm happy to answer them now or after office hours.
Okay, awesome. All right, from the back row, I think we've heard from everybody tonight, so I think we're good. City Clerk?
One thing, Your Honor, as you all go into your campaigns, I learned something new today. In the past, when you would get reports from me, we could break it down by who voted in person and who voted by absentee. It's no longer available due to an open lawsuit. So if that's important to your campaign, just be aware that we can't break it down like that anymore. We
So
can break
in
it down
person-
with the permanent ballot list, so that's more accurate anyway. But historic elections, they won't have that anymore.
Interesting, okay.
All right.
Thank you.
That's all.
City Manager?
Just one thing, I didn't even get to tell Nick and the Jasons, because this call came in right at 5 o'clock. Former DPW Director David Anderson, who is now the OPC, I think that's Oakland, the Oakland Division of MDOT, called me to set up a meeting for staff meeting in 2 weeks, that indeed they're ready to go and have a discussion with us on from M59 to the South Bridge, North Bridge to Avon. So this project is going. He's excited he's going to be the lead, which is great for us because he still lives real close and has an affinity for us. So he reached out, was excited, like this is really happening, Nick. So we'll have him at our staff meeting so everybody can get involved, and he'll hear from Corey and the water side and up the roads and everything. So pretty exciting news. So I think it's happening finally.
Okay.
That's it.
City Attorney?
Nothing, thank you.
Councilmember King?
Just one thing for DPW, Nick, Jason. I was out on the Paint Creek Trail over the weekend. I know we've had quite a bit of rain, but it seemed like that one spot that has been problematic, kind of between like the bathrooms and the entrance to the park, is getting wet and really muddy. The one side was like kind of just falling apart. So if we can get somebody out to make sure that we're clearing out those, the drains there, that would be great, just to try to keep it as best we can.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Sage?
Just one thing tonight, I wanted to recognize the thoughtful commentary that we received in public comment to start the meeting. And it centered around a property on Griggs. So I just want to clarify one thing with the city manager. So was there a citation issued on this property under the current ordinance?
That's correct.
Okay, so what is the timing regarding that citation?
I'm sorry, one more time.
The timing.
Oh, so there was a expectation from code last fall with the property owner. John Shep, Chief John met with him. They met with him prior to this conversation, and he explained over the winter they couldn't do some things. So he had promised as soon as the weather broke, it would get painted, fix the stairs. So he took those first steps. They met with the contractors out there. So with or without any push from anybody, it was following its natural progression. But because it's not all done, a violation notice was issued that he had 10 days to complete. That 10 days is up this Thursday, so it's not technically a ticket wasn't written. It was the violation letter giving him that much time, and then he can explain to the judge, if that's where it gets to, why he can't comply in the time frame that he was given. So under the present ordinance, that was written.
Okay, thank you.
Attorney Craddock.
If I can just supplement that, we just got from the fire department an update that the property owner said that because of the rain, he's got the painters ready to go, so it should be within a week and a half that the painting should be done. So I did see a communication on that as well. So I know that was a big part of it too, is the paint for it. So yeah, that was just today that it came out. So there's active dialogue and a plan, even hey, it may be delayed a couple days because of weather.
And some of the pictures that people saw were from last year. Some of that was already taken care of, quite frankly. So they weren't new pictures, they were old pictures, and he had cleaned up the backyard, et cetera. So I think we have his attention. We're trying to avoid court where it just gets hung up for months. We told him we just need action. We just need this cleaned up, to be fair, so.
Okay.
Thank you. Councilmember Jones?
Nothing tonight.
Councilmember Trent?
Oh, hi. Yes, okay. So I would like to congratulate the OPC for their successful 5K annual fundraiser run for Meals on Wheels, and to pat myself on the back, I made it. And I also met the oldest runner, who was 80 years old, and was very impressed, and I asked him how I did it. He said, 1 step at a time. So there's your tip. Don't ever give up. So then I got to go to a ribbon cutting for the new restaurant.
Board Babes.
Yeah, I was there, and anybody who wasn't there, they were probably going to be really sad, because it was the best food ever. They do charcuterie, how do you say it? Charcuterie boards. Obviously, I don't do a lot of that, but I really enjoyed it. And they were very, what? And that was wonderful. So, yes, and the two young, and the women who are running it they were just delightful. And then I went to I went to the Trailwater Land Alliance of Oakland County. Yes, there I was at the Oakland County Executive Offices this morning at the Conference Center, and it was an excellent meeting. They had presentations about the Heritage Park and Woodland Hills restoration in Farmington Hills, and they talked about the grants they got to get them, so I took notes. They had urban wetland restoration and trail design in Pontiac, so we learned all about that, and the Clinton River Trail, what they're doing there, and the connections of the North Spur, they call it. And then we had a presentation by the Environmental Council of Waterford City of Waterford. So it still keeps me on. I would like to do a presentation in maybe a month when I have time on starting a sustainability and conservation committee, because I've got multiple things that I want to present with that for our city. And last but not least, visit Oakland County Destination Workshop for government leaders, nonprofits, and business owners is going to be at Rochester Hills Museum on June 17th, 9 to 11 a.m.
Thank you.
That's not all, but I
know.
Truncated it.
Yeah.
I did.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Hauser.
Two things. One, Chief George and his team had the police open house on Saturday. It was a really nice event, and Jason, you had all your guys and equipment out there, and it was very, very well done. Weather was great, and they had a lot of nice displays, and you were able to interact with a lot of the officers, and they had certain like driving things that you could simulate a car, which made me completely car sick, but otherwise it was a really nice event. And then also, I want to plug the community garden area. Based on what we saw today and based on what's taken place, I'm incredibly excited about what's to come, between the skate park, the trail, and the garden. I've met some of the nicest people in the past few weeks when I go up there to work on my plot. And so it's a really nice thing. And if you haven't been up there, please take a walk. And I think from this point today, moving forward, it's only going to get better. So thanks to everyone for all the work they've done up there.
Nice. Thank you. So I also wanted to compliment the police department. I skipped you.
I was wondering,
There you go. So sorry. I'm going to yield to you, Mayor Pro Tem.
I was just going to say, I was at the police event as well, and police did a great job. Jason and his crew were there. It's a great event for the community, but to me, it also showed we have a professional, high-tech, well-funded, professional police force that keeps us safe, and that's one of the things that makes Rochester a great city. So it was a great event, but it was also, to me, very impressive. And, up here, we fund the police fully, and that's what we get, and I think that's what we want. Thank you.
Nice.
Now I'm done.
Thank you. Very, very nice comments, and I agree. That was one of my thoughts with the great job that the police department does, and this event just kind of highlights that. It's very nice. And also on that, looking forward to Chief George's and Dave Custer's report out from their workshop that they're at, where we have a parking committee meeting tomorrow, and so they're gonna see some of the vendors we use, and I'm always looking to see what new technology, what's coming, so that we can make our parking system the best it can be. And then also started working on America 250. So I've realized people don't really know what America 250 is. So it's 250 years from the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And so this is a nationwide celebration. So there was a committee that started today, which included OPC, Rochester Hills Museum. It's going to include the library, City of Rochester Hills. So that'll just be a collaborative group where we can share ideas and what the different communities and organizations are doing, hoping that it'll be a full calendar of events for the entire 2026 calendar year. So I would love to see all of Rochester and downtown just covered in red, white, and blue, flags and bunting and America 250 as we celebrate that. Also, with Just Rochester, we will be starting to meet June 26th at the Historical Committee. That meeting will include America 250 as well as our Rochester Heritage Days. So we want to make sure that Rochester Heritage Days is part of our America 250. I'm not yet ready to add to that committee, but there will be some additions to that committee. And looking forward to a great Heritage Days. It's an important festival for our community. So 2026 is coming back. And meeting adjourned. That's it. No, we're out.
You guys don't want to follow.